Hello, long time no see. So, we are here for kind of a roughly 24-hour reading vlog. This is kind of my modified version in which I just start in like the evening. It's just after 5 p.m. and then I read until the end of the next day so that sleeping is incorporated in there. And I don't think I'm going to time or anything. I'm just have a little TBR and I would like to get through it. So it is maybe ambitious. I don't know. It's been a while since I did something like this. So I have been trying to read through my unread shelf, but the thing about my unread shelf, everybody decided to start driving by right when I started filming. Like, there was not very much traffic before. Okay, so I tend to buy more serious books because I'm like, I am purchasing this book, even if I'm buying it used or whatever, like, I generally buy more serious books. That doesn't really lend itself to like a 24-hour reading vlog kind of thing, although I can read serious books in that too. So, but I had a gift card to Half Price Books, and so it was kind of a perfect opportunity to pick up some books kind of especially for this. I've been looking forward to this. So my rough TBR is right here. So the first one is Dust, which is the third book in the Silo series. This is an Apple TV series, but there's only one season out and it only covers like half of the first book or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, I have really liked this series. Loved the first book. Second book was okay. This one, I started it as an audiobook, but I was finding that I wasn't really like paying attention enough and I really wanted to dedicate time to actually reading it. The next one is Docile, and I have been fascinated by this one ever since I read the tagline actually a long time ago in Half Price and decided to go back for it when I got a gift card. So it says there is no consent under capitalism. The premise is basically that there are people who are considered dociles and they are like kept by other people, like rich people. They pay you a salary. I mean, it does seem like it's going to be a very like serious book in the themes that it discusses, but yeah, it's kind of a dystopia maybe. Very, very interested in this one. This is longer. It's like 500 pages almost. And then this one is much shorter, but this is a serious one, I believe, and this is Elena Knows. This one I think I'm gonna get on as an ebook because I hate, like, I don't know if you can tell, but like this is like the standard size for Spanish paperbacks, and I hate them. Literally the length of my arm, super narrow, and I don't want to be bad-mouthing the book whatsoever, but I think I'm going to read it on my e-reader. Story about a woman whose daughter was murdered potentially, and everyone is saying that she did it herself, and the mother is saying that she did not. And so she goes on this journey to prove this. It's a highly anticipated read, and a group on Instagram is doing a book club for this book this month, and the month's almost over, so time for me to read it. So we are gonna get started. We got about 5 or 6 hours of reading to get in tonight if we can sustain that. So it is 8:10, exactly halfway through. Dust is really good so far. This is a really slow series in general. Like, he just really takes his time developing the world, developing characters and everything, which I like, but it can make it a little bit, a lot to read. So I was trying to get to the halfway point, and then I was gonna switch up because of that, because of it being a little bit slower paced. I was like, well, I'll just like switch out for another book for a little while, and then of course literally in like the last 3 pages that I was gonna read, like shit hit the fan. And so now I'm like, well, do I just keep reading and finish it? And we all know the second half goes faster than the first half, so I think I might just keep reading and finish this one tonight, because yeah, I do want to know. I want to know. So I don't think I said what this series is actually about. They are living in a silo underground, so it is like a huge, massive circular structure, like not circular, but like corkscrew structure underground. You know, the outside is toxic, blah blah blah. That was like obviously the plot of the first book, and then things developed from there. So yeah, really like this. Yeah, I'm gonna find out what happens. Good morning. It is almost 9:40. I went to get a coffee and a bagel. Just gonna put some peanut butter on it. Let's do a taste test. I am suspicious of how this is gonna taste. Whew. Very sweet. It's okay. I even had them put one less sweetener thing than it suggested. Okay, so last night, as you saw, I finished Dust, but then I also read just one chapter of Elena Knows before I went to sleep, and it was really good so far. I mean, obviously one chapter, and I wasn't having like a hard time following it. Like, you know, sometimes Spanish books, it takes me a while to get into the style of writing, the vocabulary, all that kind of stuff, but I wasn't having that even like that late at night, so that's a good sign. So I think we're gonna read the rest of that one and then start Docile. Maybe if I can get a good roll going with that one, I'll listen to the audiobook while I do my dishes, because they really need done. My library had the audiobook available for both Dust and Docile, so I had a wealth of options. Okay. Okay, dang. So, it's 4 p.m. I just finished Elena Knows. I've been reading very slowly today. Dang, that book is intense. So, it's telling the story of an older woman with Parkinson's whose daughter has died, and it looks like it was suicide, but she thinks that she was killed, and no one is like believing her or interested in investigating this whatsoever. So she goes on this journey to try to get someone to prove basically that she was killed. It's about a lot of different things, like yeah, all kinds of different topics are encompassed. That synopsis, you know, sounds like the book would be one thing, but it's kind of different from how it sounds, you know, without obviously completely spoiling it. You can't really explain it, but very good book. Very, very good book. So I've only read a tiny bit in this one. I just kind of dipped my toes in. Very wild so far. Okay. Unexpected wrinkle. I do not like this book. It says Docile is a science fiction parable about love and sex, wealth and debt, abuse and power, a challenging tour de force that at turns seduces and startles. This is dark romance. Like, this is just straight up dark romance. I don't understand. Like, yes, there's critique of capitalism, but like only as a setting for like morally questionable smut. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. I don't personally read dark romance, but like, sure, if you want socially conscious dark romance, I guess, go for it. That's not what this book was purported to be, and I am very uncomfortable with it, and I don't want to read it. So yeah, it's just like, I mean, pretty much exactly what it sounds like. This person is a docile, which means his debt has been purchased. His family's debt, like debt can be inherited in this future United States, and so, you know, people get in completely impossible debt situations now, but people get in even more completely impossible debt situations, and people or companies can purchase that debt by making you a docile. And so you have to do whatever your person, your owner says, with very, very few exceptions. You have like 7 rights as a docile. Yeah, so this guy gets purchased by the creator of the drug that most dociles take in order to like cope with it. Like, it's a legal part of the system where you can choose to take this drug or choose not to take it, and you like basically don't care what happens to you, and you're completely compliant if you take it. And so you read alternately from both perspectives, and no. No. And like, it is trying to capture the conflict there, like the nuance of like that being horrible and like you cannot consent when you have no choice. But no. A much more successful, in my mind, version of this same general concept was Anibot, which I just listened to a couple months ago. And it's not exactly the same premise, but it's a sci-fi kind of similar. Like, the main character is a bot who is like humanoid, like completely indistinguishable from a human on the outside, and basically sentient, like. And so you're hearing from her perspective, and she's like a domestic, like a partner for someone. And yeah, same kind of aspects of like choice and consent and the questionable nature of that in certain contexts. And yeah, not as much capitalism discussion as this one, but I feel I already need a shower, but I feel like I need a shower more now. There are a lot of other questions that I would have been interested to see how they would develop, like the whole concept of slavery in the US obviously requires a level of intersectionality and like knowing your history and context that I'm not convinced this would have. 99% sure this is a white author. So let's see what we can replace it with. Hello. Weird angle, but this is my unread shelf that you are sitting on. Solo Queria Bailar is a book that I got in Spain. Possible. Paula by Isabel Allende. This is long and, from what I understand, traumatic to read, so I don't know about that. Another traumatic one, Invincible Summer, I think it's a direct translation, The Invincible Summer of Liliana, about this author that I've read multiple things from that I love. Her sister was murdered, and this is a book about that, so more trauma. So these are our options, I think, but for now, I'm gonna go for a run and we'll pick something when I get back. Okay, so it is much later. Everything took way longer than I expected it to. So it's almost 9:30. So I'm just gonna start this book before I go to bed. honestly, I don't think I'm gonna like this book. Like, I'm gonna be very pleasantly surprised if I like it. This was like a very on a whim purchase, so maybe it'll be great, but there's also a very distinct possibility that I will DNF it. Okay, as suspected, I was not into that book. So that one is Kaput, which puts my unread shelf at 10 books, 2 of which, as of tonight, I will be currently reading. So that is very, very exciting. I decided that I am going to start this book, which again I think is going to be absolutely heartbreaking, but I need to read it sooner or later. So, you know, whether I take my time with it or decide I can't do it or whatever, I'm gonna get started on it. But yeah, our summary of the day. First, we read Dust, which finishes out the Silo series. Really enjoyed this. Still my favorite of the series is the first one, but I did think this was like a worthy closing out of the trilogy. I liked it better than the second one. And yeah, I do recommend this trilogy. It's not like must reads for me, but if you really like sci-fi, if you like kind of survival, and even if you don't, to be honest, because that's not like entirely my thing. Like, I only really like survival or dystopia type stories when they have really strong themes. I don't like survival like for survival's sake. Like, I hate The Walking Dead. But anyway, this is pretty good. Yeah, I liked it. Elena Knows, so good. So good. Very sad. It wasn't like, I had some like emotional distance from it. I think that it helped that I was reading it in Spanish, but it wasn't like emotionally like wrenching to me, but it was very sad. Yeah, and then we DNF'd Docile. Absolutely not for me. I still cannot believe how that book is like advertised versus how it is. I was reading reviews after I DNF'd it, and I think after I talked about it, and people were like, yeah, this just reads like an AO3 novel or something like that. Like, so this was a very successful project. I did read for quite a long time, and I got 4 books off of my unread shelf. So yeah, I'm gonna call that a success. So hopefully this summer I will be able to make some time to do some amount of videos on this channel, and I will see you then.